Hi.
Just my best side. I've got an advert going on the screen here. What's going on? Oh look, there I am.
Just skip it.
Oh no, I don't like that.
Don't forget to mute the audio in YouTube as well, so it doesn't echo back through.
It's muted.
All right.
Muted, but it's like a delay. That's.
Oh, there's a delay because it's YouTube. Nevins, by the way, from the Saturday show, is asking if there's any hobbyists here.
See, there we go. That's just the start, isn't it? Bastards. I absolutely hate that.
So welcome to what episode is this? It's 300 and something, 374 of the UK Vape Show. Aidan is still not here. He's still not doing well. Apparently he's lost 4.5 stone because of this illness that he's got. So yeah,
he did say to me, bless. I offered to go around and assist and you know, help him. Well, I said I got a rusty knife. I'll cut the offending bit out. Bite on a piece of wood.
No, bite on a piece of wood while it gets cut out. So today we're joined by a face that many of you will recognise. It's Mr. Stu from Vape Smarter. You know, Vape Smarter. There's a lot of his mods along that.
Oh, look at those.
And then right there, although you can't fucking see it, right there's the pipe on its stand. Although you can't fucking see it because it's too fucking far away. But yeah, Mr. Stu from Vape Smarter. A lot of people, their first view of you was at the UK Vapor Expo, Stu, and you left an impression with some people.
I don't have a tendency not to do these. People said to me a long time I should be doing lives. I should go on to do lives and do this and kind of do that. It's just time.
That's what it is. It's time.
It's time. So, but I don't know. Hang on. Have I lost?
Have you lost what?
No, I got it. I didn't hear you then. I lost connection.
That's because I was vaping, that's why.
So, we've got loads of people here. Bless them.
Yeah, there's about 80 people. I mean, you're on the UK's #1 show to do with vaping, broadcasting from the UK, of course, which is the UK Vape Show. Just saying, Nebs. Just saying.
Just
saying.
So, what did you want to talk about?
Well, I mean... Okay, right. Let's look at the road map that we've got right now in the UK, right? So we've got the May Expo coming up, which you're going to be at. Less than a month later, there's going to be the June 1st disposable ban, and less than two, at least from what I've been hearing, less than 2 months after that. So we're going into June, July, August, September-ish. There's going to be another announcement of sorts from the Department of Health, Wes Streeting, about what he's planning to do with the framework that was laid down at the beginning of last year to do with the future of vaping. Now, whether that rumour stands up as true or not is any guess, because I usually get my rumours from LinkedIn, and 9 times out of 10 the rumours turn out to be true. UK VIA has suddenly clammed up about it since that rumour started spreading that there's going to be another announcement that will probably come out with licenses for vape shops, licenses for people selling vape shops. And what I want to know is from someone who's in the industry, which is what you are.
Yeah.
What are you looking at this year?
Okay. Let's tell a story.
Oh, here we go.
Once upon a time. This is related to the situation we're currently in. So if we go back in time to that lovely expression that I hate, the good old days.
The good old days.
An American company approached the British government and they turned around and said, we've got this product and we want to bring it to the UK and we want to make it. And the UK government said, yeah, okay, then let's have a look at it. And they showed the product to the UK government and said, that's fine. And they said, well, we want to open a factory in an impoverished area, give local jobs to local people and make this product. UK government says, yep, fine. We'll give you a few million to set this up. You're investing, give jobs to the area.
Right.
And so it started. So we did that. And then they started making the product. And then the product hit the market. And then after a little while, it started. So we had newspaper headlines saying, headmaster contacts local MP. Kids are using this. The advertising on the side of this product is a cartoon character. We need to do something about this. People are going to get cancer. This is an alternative. This is not a tobacco product. It's just another form of tobacco wrapped up. Loads of people can get cancer from this. Health scare, health scare. People started doing it. Then you had the Sun and the Daily Mirror. Newspapers in those days, no Facebook. So the newspapers were big splash headlines. 10-year-old child caught with this product at school. People dying from this product. Cancer rates soaring. Massive amount. The government at the time obviously went a bit crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And the junior health minister turned around and said, we're going to ban this. This is not on. We're going to ban this product and we're going to stop it. And it went through Parliament, and Kenneth Clarke, who was...
well, you're going
Kenneth
back
Clarke,
a bit now, Ken Clarke.
Yeah, who was the health minister at the time, banned it. What also happened was it went across to Europe, and the EEC also a blanket ban, except there was one problem. There was one country in the EEC that wanted to join 4 years later the EU.
Right.
And that country was Sweden. And Sweden turned around and said,
now I know what you're talking about.
You've banned this. We've been using this for 200 years.
For decades.
We haven't got any of these problems.
Yeah.
And the product that was banned back in 1988 was Skull Bandits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of the bad press, all of the scaremongering, everything we're facing now happened literally one after the other after the other. However, there is a caveat. Snus in Sweden is different to American Skull Bandits and Snus there.
Yeah.
Different composite. Now, there has been a lot of papers about snus saying it causes oral cancer. And to look at that situation, to look at it, because it's not as perfect as vaping, and it's way better than smoking.
Oh, yeah.
If you were to look at a glass on a table that's got half full of water, is it half empty, half full? There was a 2017 study that turned around and said it causes cancer. There was a 2018 study that said it doesn't cause cancer, but there is problems. But the mean average of the people that were testing it have been using it for 46 years.
Yep.
So Sweden turned round back in 2004, turned around and said, we haven't got the rates that you said we were going to get of oral cancer. We haven't got anything like that. So we don't want this. Can cause cancer on the tin. And the EU turned around and said, well, okay. And then there was a lot of jiggery pokery and backstabbing and money changing hands from the manufacturers, and it basically shot it all in the foot. But Sweden's got the lowest rates of smoking. It's smoke free, and it's got the lowest rates of lung cancer.
They've had the lowest rate. They've had the lowest rates for decades.
But that situation is what we're going through now.
That is, yeah, that is. As if you think about
this is the problem you've got. The worst thing we ever did was two things: call it e-cigarettes and say it was 95% safer. Yeah, worst thing you could say.
Because all the tabloids and all the anti-e-cig establishment, they lock on to the other 5%.
They lock onto that, but what also happens is if you say to the average 15, 16-year-old, you can't smoke, you can't drink, and you can't vape. They say, yeah, but hang on a minute, you're vaping, and it's 95%. Nothing's 100%. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
And so they vape. But there's also this other caveat, this other problem, where some users use it because it's not smoking, it's not medical grade or normal on the street marijuana that they could get hold of. It's not pharmaceutical drugs. It's not Prozac or Serotonin or any of the other. They need something, and vaping, because it's nicotine, does those effects of leveling. I mean, nicotine is not brilliant at the end of the day. It's not carcinogenic.
No, it's not. Nicotine is about as harmful as caffeine.
That's the thing. But the trouble is with caffeine is caffeine's in energy drinks.
Yeah.
And caffeine's in this and caffeine's in that.
It's everywhere now. It's even chewing gum.
But
fucking chewing gum.
What you don't have is caffeine. You don't have nicotine and related to the evil of tobacco. As Grim Green keeps saying, nicotine isn't a crime, and it's been used for 3,000 years.
Oh yeah.
So moving on to the industry, the white paper that they're bringing out, they've already had a vote on banning vaping in public spaces.
Yeah.
And that went through.
Yep.
So once you've got a ban in a public space, what would you class a public space?
Which is the big question, because it's like there is an uproar, especially up here in Scotland, with the pubs that are already struggling, and they struggled after the smoking ban, and a lot of those smokers switched over to vaping, and now it's like, well, if we've got to chuck out our drinkers who can't drink and vape in the beer garden, and we've got to lob them out the front door, that's just going to piss them off, and they're just going to go to the local supermarket and buy a 6-pack for £5, and they won't come to our pubs anymore.
I mean, the problem that I can see, that a lot of the things that are going on at the moment, is what people say is, if you look at... Okay, then I'll ask you a question.
Right.
In 1910, how old did you have to be to buy cigarettes?
1910?
1910.
Was there even an age limit back then?
Yeah.
There was?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think?
Okay, the over 18 thing was pretty recent. Well, 1910, I mean, it's just after the Victorian age. You're in the Edwardian age then.
Yeah, before the First World War.
Yeah, before the First World War. I would pin it round about 15?
16.
Oh, it was 16, so...
100 years, you had to be over 16 to buy cigarettes and tobacco products. 100 years.
And that was even that was even before the whole cancer thing was linked to smoking.
1950s, the cancer thing was linked to smoking. In 1605, the king of the day said smoking was a heinous, horrible thing and causes a smell and illness. In 1874, they were saying it causes phlegm and gastric poisoning and problems with the lung. Well, it was only the connection in the 1950s that they turned around and said there was a connection to cancer.
Yep.
So it took us 100 years to move the age from 16 to 18 to protect.
Yeah.
And now we've got something that only uses nicotine, and no one has died from cancer in the last 20 years from vaping.
No one.
And bearing in mind, vaping was invented by
Han Lick, I think his name was, the Chinese fella.
No. Herbert A. Gilbert in 1950.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
There's an interview on eCig Direct, and they interviewed Herbert A. Gilbert. He invented it, patented it in 1950. And the caveat with this, the other problem, is that over the years, there's been patents in 1981 and 1989 for e-cigarettes, and they were all purchased by Big Tobacco.
Oh, including the Han Lick patent,
market,
because that was purchased as well.
But when Hon Link actually invented it in 2008,
Yeah.
the trouble is, and people forget this, China cured the cigarette. They've cured the cigarette. If it hadn't been brought to market, we wouldn't be vaping. We wouldn't have saved millions of lives. And China were the ones that manufactured it and brought it to market and constantly brought it in and brought, obviously we got the disposables and the pods and all the rest of it, but China cured the cigarette, and they've got the biggest use of cigarettes in the world.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they do.
But that's the trouble. So I think disposables will be banned. I think we're going to get the rise of the pods, and everybody's going to kick off about pods.
No, that's already happening. I've already had emails from the likes of VaporSO, from the likes of Geek Vape, from Aspire, that's saying that after the impending, and this is the impending ban, that's a direct quote from Aspire, after the impending ban, we will be, what was the wording again? We will be rebooting our pod market. So you're going the UK is going to be flooded with pods. It's going to be like what, 20, the year after COVID, it'll be like 2021 all over again. Just pod. And you know what? I don't mind pod kits. I don't mind, because they're good for starters.
I think you need that, because you still need to get Mrs. Smith, who's 64, off cigarettes.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, this whole industry, and I had this conversation with a supplier the other day, it's not about getting people off cigarettes.
Not anymore. No.
It's all about money.
Yep.
And I'm in it. So the industry's worth around about 1.4 billion in the UK.
Yep.
Which rolls off the tongue really well. So if we put it through to people, as somebody said to me, well, that's not a lot of money. And I said, okay, then let's put it in different terms then. If I gave Vic £1 for every second, right?
Right.
So I've got £1 here. So if I was giving you one of these every second, 1, 2, 3, it would take around about 11.5 days to get to £1 million, right?
Fair enough.
£1 billion would take you 32.5 years. If you wanted to have as much money as Elon Musk, it would take 11,500 years
to
get to that point. But the e-cig industry isn't worth 1.4 billion. The e-cig industry, if you add influencers, reviewers like yourself, packaging companies, couriers, and loads of other people,
the entire infrastructure,
it's worth about 4.6.
See, that sounds more credible than 1.6. Because if you look at all the fucking shit, just sorry for saying this, Bunny, but just ignoring the independent shops and just look at VPZ. They've got fucking hundreds of shops spread all over the damn country.
Well, they're trying to get into supermarkets, aren't they?
They already have.
Yeah.
They struck a deal with Morrison's last year.
Yeah. I can see a lot of other companies doing the same thing.
Oh yeah.
I can see after the ban, possibly the 3rd or 4th quarter of this year, there might be, I'm 50-50. I think there is definitely going to be a flavour ban.
Oh. So what type of flavour ban? Everything apart from tobacco and menthol?
I think they'll put it down to 4. I think you're going to get a fruit, you get a tobacco, you get a menthol, and maybe one other. I think they're gonna aim on it. They're already saying it.
Oh, they're saying
it in Parliament all the time. There's a doctor, which is an MP, and she's really keen on it. Wes Streeting is keen on a flavour ban, but you've got to look at this one point. You can't turn around to your MP and say, I'm a vapor, I've been doing this for 15 years. and then turn around and say it's to get people off smoking.
Yeah.
Because the MP's going to turn around and say, well, you've swapped one addiction for another addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at it that way, yeah, you've got a point. You've got a point. So if it's about giving up smoking, why are you still vaping after a decade? It's because you're addicted to nicotine, and nicotine's evil.
There's your problem. I mean, this thing with people turning around and saying I've watched a few. There was a link on your group actually, which people should go and watch, which was a research chemist, and she was talking about nicotine in America, very much so, and how America's going. And he put a question to her saying, "Oh, what about the children being addicted to nicotine?" And she said, "Well, hang on a minute. Well, let's look back in time." She said, if you go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 40s and 50s, 70% of the male population in the UK smoked.
Yep.
And they started from an early age.
Oh, yeah, very early age.
So did we have 70% of the population at an early age all have problems with nicotine in the rest of their lives and have diagnoses from nicotine? No, it was from smoking.
Yeah.
So we can pretty well rule out it's not a healthy thing for young minds to use. And I'm not saying it's right and correct, but you have to be, if you're a scientist, you have to be impartial and be a scientist. You can't pick something out of the air and cherry pick what could be right and what could be wrong.
Yeah.
But if you ask anybody on the street about vaping now, they'll turn around and say,
it's bad.
I've read it in the Sun.
Yeah.
I've read it on social media.
Yeah. Yep. Because the tabloid press, and they've been doing it for at least the past half decade now. The tabloid press have been basically dragging vaping's name through the mud, just to basically get more views.
They did it with that young, what's he called? I can't remember his name. He was a Love Island star that passed away recently.
Recently, I can't remember his name either.
That was a tragic occurrence. He was struggling with drugs. He was struggling with life events.
Yep.
His career was once up there, and then his career had gone down, and he was struggling with addiction. And he did an interview where he was admitted to hospital and he had pneumonia. And he did an interview, obviously with a tabloid newspaper, and he was like, "I'm getting off cigarettes. I'm using a vape now. Oh, I'm addicted to these things." Can I quote you on that?
Yeah, and that's the headline.
Bang.
Yeah,
and the headline on the press was, he did this, he was this, and he was that. In an actual fact, he slipped and fell.
Yeah, that's basically what done it. Yep. But of
and
course,
that was tragic thing to actually, and the press were just feasting.
Oh yeah, they were
awful.
They were.
Instead of bringing up what he did good, he was a nice guy, he was really popular, he did lots of good things, they went for the bad things.
Yeah, they went for the bad things.
But that is the press. As soon as you say you do vaping, that's it. If people ask me what my business is, as in Vape Smarter, it's not so much that I actually say, I just kind of don't, go out there and say I make mods and do this, because of the fact you don't know what reaction you're gonna get.
Oh yeah, I get some, especially from family members now. Like when I first started doing this just slightly over a decade ago, when a lot of the press was positive about it, they were like, "Yeah, get on there, good luck." In fact, now they're saying, yeah, why are you still reviewing those fucking vapey things? Don't they cause cancer?
That's the thing. That's the thing to say.
It's because the fucking local press, and it's like you've got not just the local press, the national press, fucking BBC fucking Question Time done it as well, fucking talk radio and all the rest. They're just tarring fucking vaping as bad as they can possibly do it, and they've been doing it for the past half decade with no solid concrete fucking proof of what they're fucking saying. None at all. None.
I see industry split into three separate sections. You've got big tobacco.
Yep.
You've got big pharma.
That's a definite.
And the third one is big vape.
So you're talking about the big companies like Vaporesso, Smoor, that kind of thing.
Yeah. If the ban hits in this country, then I would say I don't think they'd be bothered. I think they are bothered, but I don't think they're going to be bothered as much as some of the smaller independents, some of the mod makers that are still going, some of the juice manufacturers, some of the smaller juice factories. You got Fluid, you got Chris, you got Black Rose Elixir. Those people. You got King's Custard. You got all the Dino, all the people at the show.
Yeah.
That make and try these things and giveaways and stuff and try stuff and are always there for people. But the major manufacturers are just going to move on to the unit price and how much profit and loss they make. For me as a maker, you've got two separate sides. I've said this in the other show. You've got your personal side and you've got your business side.
Oh yeah.
So you've still got, I'm the same in a way. I'm making stuff to sell because it keeps the roof above my head. But it's going to affect the smaller outfits more than the huge concerns. And I think we'll see one or two really big companies start to crumble and start to go under compared to the other companies.
No, the first one that springs to my mind, I mean, if a flavour ban does actually come in, the first one that springs to my mind that will immediately fall apart is going to be VPZ, because they rely on the liquid sales.
Don't you think it's odd and unusual that they're actually in supermarkets?
Yeah, because that way, you've got to look at it this way. It's good fucking marketing. Not just good marketing, but they've got a captive audience in there, and they've got the way that a lot of supermarkets are laid out. Those shop units are behind the till registers. So when Mrs. Jones, who's a fucking 60 a day smoker, wheels her fucking shopping cart out and starts coughing, she sees like VPZ. Oh, that's that vaping thing. I think I'll go in for a check, and there we go. There's a pod sale right there.
The only downside to all of this is the advertising ban that's in the white paper.
Yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, I keep forgetting about it because that advertising ban is fucking scary. Because
it's going to ban everything.
It doesn't just go after fucking. And I ranted about this in 2 WhatsApps and I got in a lot of fucking trouble for it. But it's going to affect Instagram influencers. It's going to affect the TikTok influencers. It's kind of probably maybe going to kind of affect people like me. But the old dinosaur reviewers like myself and myself and fucking, the reviewers that don't push the product, we're kind of going to be safe. But there is a new breed of reviewer out there that's all about the sale. That if you look in their description, they've got fucking affiliate link, fucking one after another. They're going to be the ones that are they're going to be the ones that's hardest hit. And all it's going to take is the Advertising Standards Authority in the UK to pick out a handful of people, 5 or 6. Target. Make a big public hoo-ha about it, and that scares the fuck out of the rest of the platform. That's all they need to do.
You see, the trouble is, at the end of the day, I remember the conversation that we had about it, and I spoke to you about it. But if it's in the white paper and it becomes law, it's not that you've broken the regulations, you've broken the law.
Yeah.
So it would be the first company that's put up in court that pleads not guilty. And the only thing that they need to do is just need to prove a majority. They've got to do, the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Based on the evidence. And the evidence they're going to put in is the last 7 years of circumstantial evidence to say, on this date you did this.
Yeah.
I think advertising and licensing needed to be not light hand, I think it needs. I think it needed looking at, but I also need to think that they need to be smoke-free by 2030.
Do you honestly? Do you think they're going to? Nah, they're not going to make it.
2039. They're saying Birmingham is supposed to be 2046. That's what they're saying in Birmingham.
Fucking hell.
Parts of London, but there is a couple of counties which are lower. But let's not forget. If you look across to America, vaping and smoking is its lowest rate it's ever been.
Yeah.
So that's vaping and smoking.
And smoking, the both of them.
In Ash said recently, vaping has plateaued on children and youths, and it's starting to drop.
Yeah.
But they're still using evidence from 2022 and 2023, not the new evidence that said our recent survey says it's plateaued and it's going down now.
Yeah, because that doesn't look so good for Ash. They like to have the numbers going up so they can keep hammering the fucking drum, and that's Ash's problem. This is the, and I can say this because I'm not part of UK fucking VIA, but one of the things that annoys me about UK VIA, well, hopefully we're going to have John Dunn on the run up to the May Expo, right? And one of the things that annoys the fuck out of me about UK VIA is they keep sitting in Parliament, because I think there's going to be some kind of all-party parliamentary group before May to discuss this white paper thing. They've got to have an all-party parliamentary talk at least before now and the summer recess. That's in law. They have to have one. So you're going to have UK VIA there. You're going to have the IBVTA there. Fine, fair enough. But then you're going to have Ash there, who 1 minute is pro-vaping. And then, all of a sudden, 180, 2 minutes later, they're anti-vaping. Vaping's the fucking worst thing in the fucking world. How can you have Ash sitting there? I mean, seriously.
I mean,
all they do is
I
flip-flop.
can't... There's been a big hoo-ha over Ash and the fact that they've completely done a 180 and gone around on vaping. And I really don't know. And a lot of people are saying it's Bloomberg, and a lot of people are saying it's this, and a lot of people are saying it's that, and pressure.
Internal politics.
Also, I can't see personally how UK VIA aren't representing people.
Nah, they're a trade group.
So they're representing trade.
Yeah, they're representing trade. I mean, John Dunn admitted it the last time he was on the show. It's a trade group. It's a trade group.
So if you want to ban, say, guns, and you've got all the people that deal with legislation on guns, you've got people that deal with the aftermath of gun crime and blah, 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 would you invite the manufacturer of the gun to defend themselves if you're just about to ban them?
That's a good way of putting it.
Just wouldn't, would you? I remember watching Lord of War, right? Because I watched loads of DVDs. And Lord of War, there was a bit in it where you got the FBI and the CIA, and they got Nicolas Cage in Lord of War, and they said, "Your guns kill people." And he was like, "No." And he's going, "What do you mean, no?" And he's going, "I don't want them to kill people. I want them to miss. Because the more they miss, the more they buy bullets."
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same idea.
I mean, I think that you've got these three tiers. So you've got the ban on disposables.
Yeah.
You're going to have the rise of the pods, which they're going to watch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're
And
definitely
the
going to
government
keep an eye on
are
that.
really clued up now.
Yeah, which has also made me very fucking suspicious. Why is it? I'm going to go off on another fucking rant, which also got me in a lot of trouble with the fucking WhatsApp at the end of last year. Why is it all of a sudden the Labour Party, who were completely fucking clueless, and it's not just Labour, the Tories as well, were completely fucking clueless to do with vaping. They had no idea about the industry, no idea about tanks, no idea about limits. They just went, "Oh, we'll just follow the EU's directive." Now all of a sudden the Labour Party, who at one point at the very beginning of their term in Parliament were totally clueless about vaping, all of a sudden they know everything. Who's fucking grassing us up? That's what I want to fucking know.
They've really, really tried to learn about this, and they really do know.
They do.
So you've got that, but I mean, the people that I would like to be, the person I do respect the most of when watching this is Clive.
Clive Dunn? No, fucking Dunn.
Yeah.
He's is that his name?
Yeah, I think it's Clive Dunn. Hang on.
I keep thinking, 'cause Clive...
The counterfactual. So if I put in the counterfactual,
Is it not?
he used to be. There we go. Counterfactual home. Clive Bates.
Clive Bates.
He
right.
used to be. People should jump onto his website and read it. He used to be chairman of ASH.
He did. A long time ago.
Time ago.
Yeah.
And you got also the genius of Michael Russell. But the thing that I did read the other day is the FDA have now, because we were talking about snus, the FDA have now sanctioned the use of nicotine pouches in America. Yes, I did see that. Yeah, I saw that.
Because I thought the FDA went, because I know that, and we're going to get slightly political here. I mean, Trump and Musk is in the middle of gutting out the fucking government. I thought the FDA had basically shut down.
Let's have a look. FDA authorises marketing of 20 ZYN nicotine pouches.
Oh.
On January the 16th, the FDA approved the marketing of ZYN nicotine pouches. Now, you've got to remember, these pouches are going to be banned in this country.
They are.
As far as I recall in that white paper, nicotine pouches are going to be seriously looked at. And I think they're going to consider banning them.
I had no idea that they were getting passed by the FDA. That's news to fucking me. Fucking hell.
Sale of nicotine pouches. That's a biggie. That's
That is
a
a
real big one. Because there's still the same thing where if the FDA have approved them and the UK government are now going, well, nicotine patches are the scourge of Satan because children can use them and they look like skull bandits and they're going to be on the side of a motorbike, and Edwina Curry turns around and starts talking about eggs again and all that kind of thing. In actual fact, as a side note, when Edwina Curry turned around and said salmonella in eggs, 5 years later there was an inter-party communication and it was rife in the industry.
The salmonella problem. Yeah.
Yeah, she was actually right.
She was right. Yeah, turned out she was.
She said quite a few other things, like, you know, we're not going to talk about Jimmy Savile going to Broadmoor that she was behind, or the fact that she turned around and said good Christian people wouldn't catch AIDS and things like that.
Oh boy. Yeah, she got a bit nuts at the fucking end.
We'll gloss over them. But if the FDA has authorised this, where is it going? Because, do you know what I mean? This is basically like trying to catch smoke.
Well, it is. I mean,
it's like trying to catch smoke.
So if the FDA has authorised it, Zyn, as far as I know, is a partly owned American company. If the UK government end up banning nicotine pouches, then if they do it within the next 4 years, which they probably fucking will, all that'll happen is Zyn, as an American-based company, will go to Mr. Donald Trump and go, President Trump, did you know that the nasty Labour Party over in the United Kingdom has banned this wonderful United States product, nicotine pouch, from being sold in the UK? And then Trump will go, fuck it, 15% tariff, fuck you, Starmer. That's what will happen.
You don't mean that Zyn might have a factory in Kildare employing 20 people that the UK government had given so many million to actually build? It could be, but that's going to go through. I think the next after the ban, after the flavour ban, which really I am nervous about, to the point I am actually starting to mix now. I'm selling mixing stuff.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, I've seen the announcement on your group.
Now, I'm not kind of like, blowing my own trumpet, because I am, but I'm not trying to blow it that much. But I haven't mixed for like 12 years. And then I bought some 70/30 with nicotine in it, a litre of it. And I brought some Alchemist Cupboard and some other places, stuff like that. And then I mixed it. And I haven't bought a bottle of juice since.
And because of that, you're saving a lot of fucking money.
I was really quite surprised. And what it does is it kind of, it's really simple. It's like making a cup of tea. It's really, really simple.
It is.
And then if you add bits to it, and I found out how it was kind of like not a whole, it's not. I mean, I've got it in an old bottle here, and it's like, wow. And what happens if I put that in it? And what happens if I put that? And I had a marshmallow whip, and I put like 0.5 gram in, and I'm like, oof, that's a bit strong. And then I left it a few days, and then it was really weird. I think mixing's going to take off.
It is.
And then the next thing that will happen is second, I wouldn't have said January, but I'd say second, possibly third quarter in 2026, then the nicotine tax will hit.
Fucking hell, a nicotine mind you, they did. Yeah, they did. There was mentions. Yeah, there was mentions about that, and on top of that, if they actually go through with the licensing system for vape shops as well,
that's £1,000 a year.
Yeah, the licensing system as well. They're basically trying to hammer the industry into the ground, especially if you put in. So, as a shop and as a manufacturer of juice, you're going to have to offset, because especially if you're dealing with the likes of, again, VPZ, or the independent shops that decide to sell the 10ml bottles of TPD compliant liquid, which comes with the nicotine in the fucking bottle, they're going to have to buy and offset the wholesale cost of the tax being added onto the fucking consumer that's buying it off the shelf.
Yep.
So it's just price increases all the way up the fucking stack. That's what you're looking at.
I mean, the thing is with mixing, we'll go back to that for a little bit, because that's poignant to what you've just said. I get juice off different companies, used to, and company sent stuff. And so I used to go to a regular I've known for 15 years. And I would get a couple of bottles every so often because I just like the juice. And I said to them, look, you actually sell concentrate as well. Yeah. I can't buy it for some reason. And they said, go to this site. So I went to another site. And the other site was in US dollars. It was a British company, US dollars, and there wasn't one word about vaping or juice. Nothing.
Sneaky.
It was smoothie flavors. It was cookie flavors. It was drink flavors. It was added to your potpourri flavors. But the pictures were exactly the same. And some of the pictures, once you got past the main ones and looked at some of the other flavors, actually had the name of the company that made it. So
very
unless you
sneaky.
properly spider it with an AI and physically try and look at the names of it, that's going to be how it may try and get around. But this is the trouble. You can only get around it for so long. It's not like the TPD.
Yeah, it's not like, because this time it's a UK law, and unlike the European Union, when it comes to loopholes, doesn't matter what the government is, whether it's Labour or whether it's Tory, they're usually pretty damn good in closing loopholes in a tax system, especially with a new law that they've just passed.
Yeah. So you got this perfect storm. You got the disposable ban, which everybody wants. Which, the only person who actually spoke about it originally, the original questionnaire was you. We haven't got a grim green in this country.
We don't.
We don't. It's a shameful situation where I'm watching Nick and talking to Nick, and he's telling me about the UK industry and what's going on, and he's on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
We've got people looking for loopholes, and then we'll have a white paper in that's going to close everything, and then we're going to have a ban. But there is this beacon, which is no matter what they do, we still got to be smoke free.
Because the smoke-free regulations are still in place, which is a carryover from Rishi Sunak's term as Prime Minister, and the Labour Party left it in there.
And the thing is, we're talking about Keir Starmer and all the Labour Party and stuff like that, and they're trying to do this and trying to do that and all the rest of it. The one thing they don't need in the next 12 months, 2 years,
is a rise in smoking levels.
Yeah.
Smoking rates going up, because that's another failure.
Because the Conservatives are going to have a go. But like what we said to you before, when they increase this smoking by 1 year every year type of thing, when that comes into force, that'll be 10 years to take effect.
Yep.
And it gives the big tobacco 10 years to do something else. Which
they probably already are in the background.
And I can't blame them.
Yeah.
Put it this way: if I worked for Big Tobacco, and I was peddling this cigarettes, and I had a mortgage and a wife and kids in education and a car and all the rest of it, and I want my holidays, and then somebody comes along and says, "This will cure smoking. This is it." What am I going to do? I'm either going to try and destroy the market, or try and regulate the market,
or jump in wholesale,
or try and ban it.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it and thinking, am I looking at conspiracy? Is this tinfoil hat brigade? Or am I looking at conspiracy facts? And then I read all about skull bandits and it happening before. Yeah. And I'm like, really? So, but we've got some questions, haven't we?
Not as many as I thought, because I think that the UK group's kind of quiet now. If anyone's got a question for Stu, wrong side. If anyone's got a question for Stu in chat, type it in and we'll read it out. So here's one question.
Yeah, Nick pouches have become wildly popular in the States last year.
Oh, they've been popular. In fact, Tucker Carlson. We all know who Tucker Carlson is. He actually founded his own nicotine pouch company, and he's advertising it during his fucking podcast now.
Yeah.
So yeah, nicotine pouches are very, very fucking popular over in the United States.
Vapor Bunny says UK via keeping everything behind closed doors, which doesn't help us in the slightest. But you've got to remember exactly what he said, which is I can understand that.
Yeah.
He's not acting for you. He's acting for his members that give him money.
Yeah, he's acting for the industry that's keeping UK VIA afloat.
And the trouble is, at the end of the day, he's that same guy. He's got a house, he's got a wife, he's got children, private education, Oxford, Cambridge, Ferrari in the garage, that kind of thing.
Or two.
So he's doing that as well.
Because
the trouble is, if you're being paid by these big companies,
you've got to have the big companies' interests at heart.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll put them off. The simple fact is, when it comes to the United Kingdom as a country, we don't actually have an advocacy group, because the New Nicotine Alliance is basically collapsed in on itself. You don't hear a fucking thing from them now. And the advocacy groups that you see, like World Vapors Alliance, they've got a 12-gauge shotgun and they're just blasting a wide envelope about all countries to do with vaping. What the UK needs is a rifle for a much more targeted approach, and we don't have that, because let's face it, ever since David Cameron and Nick Clegg took office about 15 years ago, right up until the second year of Rishi Sunak's term, we had it easy.
Yeah.
We did, under the Conservative Party, because they had a hands-off approach. Then Rishi Sunak started fucking shitting himself that the Conservatives were falling off the edge of a cliff, and Rishi Sunak's big tobacco plan, which happens to be the same plan the Labour Party's now putting into place, just with a couple of alterations to it, and Labour Party scribbled in pink crayon at the top of the white paper. That's basically what's happened. But we've had it easy. We have.
I mean, if vaping was seen as an alternative to tobacco, the same as snus, the same as snuff, the same as pipe tobacco, the same as anything like that, we wouldn't be doing this now. It would have gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only thing that's stopping it from going completely is the fact that they're trying to get smoke free.
Yeah.
It certainly is. I mean, you know, my wife said to me earlier on, she says, don't be doom and gloom.
You can't fucking help it though.
Hanky, Vic, are you taller than Stu? No. You know.
What do you mean fucking no? Yes, I fucking am.
Wait till I see him. Wait till I see Hanky Panky. I'll tell him. I know. I mean, I said to her, I mean, it's cup half empty, half full. It's not good.
Oh, it's not. It's not. And the worrying thing is, I don't think a lot of people in the chat or even watching this in the replay read the white paper from front to back. Actually read it, especially the bit to do with marketing, especially the bit to do with licensing, and especially the bit to do with health concerns, which is at the back of the paper. Read it. It's fucking scary, some of the things that they're saying in there. Scary stuff.
The trouble that we had originally with when the original questionnaire came out, that everybody had a point of writing it down. Nobody did.
Nobody did.
And nobody wanted to talk about it. And I remember banging off loads and loads of messages to you and to other people saying, look, I'm not scaremongering, I'm not, but you need to really look into this, because if you say yes, you want to ban the disposables, you don't see the other 15 questions underneath it.
It kicks the door open. No. Yeah, it kicked the door open for other fucking bans and things. If the doors opened up, you know for a fact any government, whether it be Tory or whether it be Labour, they would end up stepping through that door if it was kicked open. But the problem I was looking at from the standpoint of what was happening in the UK is at that point in time, so we're going back like 2 or 3 years ago now, just after COVID, coming to think of it, the then Labour and Conservative councils were using disposables as a means to beat the fuck out of Westminster, and Westminster basically shit themselves. Yeah. So the way I looked at it is, remove the disposable problem, you remove the problem entirely. But not quite.
No. This is a problem, see. When they said that people were saying to ban them, and people were saying to me, we need to ban these things, they're deadly. And I'm like, be careful what you wish for. If you start the ban, it will say, well, those aren't good, but what about that product over there? That looks a bit dodgy. We'll ban that as well.
Yeah, it kicks the door open. It does.
And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know where it's going to go. I mean, I'm working, you know, I make stuff, I do things, and, you know, I enjoy what I make and things like that. I mean, questions that I've got here. Stu, does Vic bully you because he's taller than you? Ask him for a friend. Ian at CC calls. Wait till I see Ian. Wait till I see him. Wait till I see him. Do you know where he calls me at the show? The Rottweiler. I get so angry. Or was it Terrier? I think he said Terrier. I get really angry. When I go to Vape Expo, I'm already like, so, I go, you know. I mean, throwing things against the wall, Stu. Yeah, I had that the other day. I do that a lot.
I seen the picture. I seen the picture in the group. Yep.
Mate, I've done that quite a few times. I mean, it's kind of like that was made, that was finished. It was perfect. I thought I'd just touch it up and slipped, and I was like,
Oh,
right.
fuck.
So I've done that before now. I've had a mod in the miller and put a hammer straight through it. Done that loads of times. It's not worth it. You end up with something and you're going, I've been, and I won't lie, I've been in the workshop when I had a big order going to a distro, and I was in the workshop and I was there and I'm like, I can fix this. I can fix this. And I'm like, half in tears. And it's
Jesus.
like, what?
Oh, fuck.
I couldn't do it. And it's kind of like, so you get that. How are you? Pink battery wraps do CC coils, yeah. Pink battery wraps, brilliant. Picking on the security guard. Stu and me, CC coils gonna get you. I say I've smoked since I was 13-year-old, switched to vaping at 43. I wouldn't have been able to quit without vaping. That's the thing.
Same here. I started smoking when I was just turning 13. Just turning 13. Consulate, and then I switched to Woodbine, which wrecked my fucking lungs.
You shouldn't have done that. But it's... I mean, somebody asked the question I saw on the Facebook group, which said, what was my favourite mod? And what's my favourite juice? I like vanilla custard. Very much into vanilla custard.
Same here. Love my custards.
And the favourite mod... I haven't really got one.
See, the thing is, the problem is you make that many mods. It must become a blur.
It's
because I'm looking at what, like a half a dozen of yours up there, and they're completely different styles against each other, including the one I'm using now, which is the pine coney one. That one there, and I've got the nightmare sitting on top.
I think I've done items wise probably 5,000, something like that.
Holy fuck!
I've done mods wise thousands of mods.
Bloody
like
hell.
2,000-3,000 mods, something like that. I've had one came back to me the other day, actually. Sean sent it back. He bought it second hand. And he sent it back to me, and he wanted it, upgrade and stuff like that. That was made in 2022, and that's... See, this is the thing with pods and disposables and stuff, and people saying about things. And I'm not saying about this for myself, but I'm saying this about if you buy something that's regulated, or something that's got a DNA board in it, or something that can be easily repaired, it's going to last you longer than 12 months, 2 years, 3 years.
Oh yeah, it definitely will. I mean, the earliest mod I got from you, I think it was dating back to 2022, 23. That one up there, the wood one, and that's still working fine.
There's one before that. There was a squonker.
It's this fella.
Was that 2018?
It's that one.
Yeah. Look at
and again,
that.
Still working fine. Mind you, I don't squonk that much. That's probably why it's
Nah.
Me and squonking don't get on. I just don't go on with fucking drippers, because I keep getting dry hits from the fuckers.
It started at 16. I was trying to see if there's any other questions here. Trump Nation, Tobacco Product Directive.
Sean's asking
Norway.
if you're going to rename the mod that you're sorting for him.
No, it's actually called Angel. I actually took me 10 minutes to find it. I've got. If I put the folder on here, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Info. Can I look at info? So obviously it's a Mac. The pictures I've got, the size is 22.6 gig, and it's got 22,000. How many is it? Has it got 22? No, 22,000, or no, 22 million bytes, but it's got
Jesus.
8,000 pictures in it on that main folder. So there's 8,000 pictures of mods there that I've done.
8,000 pictures. So here's the question. The name Vape Smarter, where did it come from?
I thought you would have known this.
No. Because I don't think you've ever explained the story behind the story behind the company name.
I said it once before to someone, to another live. Back in 2013, 2014, I had an idea of converting a smart car, right, into a mobile shop.
Oh.
So, and the reason for it was you could fit the smart car in a 3 meter by 3 meter space.
Right.
So I made quite I made about 2 or 3. So brought the car, converted it into a vape shop, had an awning that you would fit on the back, and you could take it anywhere. And then you would have the smart car wrapped in your company logo.
Oh.
I went to see a well-known company and said, would you be interested? And they said, well, you know, if you think you can make it, we would be. And so I said, all right, then fine. So I made one, took it back and said, there you go. Where's the money? And they were like, and so from that, I had a couple of orders, and then I did another one, and then the TPD hit.
Oh.
And that stopped it.
Yeah, that fucked it. Yeah.
And so, as I lost what to do, I started making other stuff, and then people asked me, "Oh, can you make a mod?" And I had no interest at the time of making a mod, and so then I made a mod, and I think I've still got the picture of it somewhere, and I can't even remember where it is. I can't even remember the name. And I made it, and then showed it, and then started from there.
And that's how it built up. Right.
Yeah.
Nicky Maynard.
And so you got Vape Smarter.
Yeah.
Liz has just sent me the picture. Wow. Well, I'm not showing that. It's got the company on the back of it. But it was, I had them wrapped, and they were good. They were really nice actually, and it was crazy. And I would drive it around, and it was fully wrapped, and I'd drive it around, and then I'd have this, and I'd be like, wind the window down. Got any vapes, mate? I'm like, in the back, you know, if I'm selling type of thing. It's not, it's empty at the moment. What do you mean? I says, it's in the back. Where's in the back? I says, it's a shop. No way. And so I did those, and then the TPD came in and stopped all the advertising in that way. So that blanked.
TPD fucked up. Yep.
And then I just started making cabinets and cases and mods, and now I make just mods and drip tips and all sorts of different things.
And you're into mixing now as well. Nicky Maynard's asking, do you have your own custom mod that you made for you? No. Well, that shuts down that question.
Never will. Never will.
Never will.
Never made one for myself ever.
So you just use basically what you produce for the market.
I've got a Lost Vape battered grass and a couple of other mods.
Oh my god! Hold that thing up.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesus, that's been through the war.
It's had its 4th board in it. Bloody crap thing. I mean, you've got to admit, I mean, it's lasted, but I have had to rebuild it. So I think it's on its 2nd case. It's kind of like been remade. I've dropped. It's just wrecked. I would never make a mod for myself and carry it and use it. I find it kind of narcissistic.
Oh.
A little bit. The chairman of BMW drives a Mercedes. Mercedes have Ford cars.
Yeah.
The chap who had IKEA drove around in an old battered Volvo.
Yep.
I mean, does Elon Musk drive a Tesla?
I don't think he does.
No.
No, he doesn't. He drives a normal car from what I've seen. In fact,
But
two normal
that's-
cars. He's got two.
I mean, look at Jeremy Clarkson. Is he driving around in a Ferrari? No, he's driving around in a tractor.
Yeah, drives around in a tractor or an old Land Rover, from what I remember as well. An old Land Rover.
I mean, it's same as Hamster. He's driving around in an old Land Rover, and he has a couple of cars on test. It's the same basic principle. So I don't make for myself because you can't have. There's no such thing as perfect. It's a fallacy.
True.
You're always chasing it.
Yeah.
So
True.
I don't make for myself. The same as when I'm at the show and I'm talking to somebody else. They're like a juice maker who's trying somebody else's juices. It's so. Oh no! Liz sent me another picture. They went under those. Did you know? So it's a weird one. I mean, and I just don't. Yeah, it's like chefs get home and eat beans on toast.
Very true. Very true. The last thing they want to do is fucking create something chefy and 5-starry. They just want something simple. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So here's one for you, Stu. And this is I like to ask this question if any like company person comes in, like Vape Shop, you can go back in time to when you first started, like actually do it, and you can tell the younger Stu one piece of advice that would help that Stu carry Vape Smarter forward. What would that one piece of advice be from a business sense? Tomer, how you doing?
I would have said go to Expo sooner.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, because you held out for because you only started going to the expos very recently.
Last 4 years.
But it's not just that, because before the Ohm Zone, you would have to have paid for one of the fucking overly expensive. There was no way that there's no, because that's the one good thing about the Ohm Zone. It gives independent companies a chance to actually take part, because before the Ohm Zone, there was no way a small company could afford one of those booths. 5 grand, 10 grand, 25 fucking grand.
It depends. It depends how you look at it. If you start a business, okay,
Yeah.
and my son has got his own business, and he's done that, and we worked together for many years, and we always worked on the golden rule: whatever piece of equipment you buy, you will find work for.
Right.
And yeah, my father is dead now, 92. He died, as in he was 92 years.
Yeah.
He died. He would buy, when I was young, he would buy a CNC miller back in the day. This is back in the 80s. And it would cost £25,000. And my mom would have a massive screaming match at him. Why have you brought this? Because she would do the accounts. And he would say, don't you worry, it will pay for itself in 6 months.
Yep.
And he would go out and he would find the work for that thing. So now I've got millers and lasers and lathes and everything in the workshop, and every piece of equipment I bought, you work out to do something different with it.
Yeah.
To the point that my Galvo laser packed up a few months ago, and I was like, what am I going to do? I've got a machine down. And you don't realize how much you use something till it's
Till it's gone. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're starting a business, I would say you would do something and bring something to market, and it's 1,000 times you're going to fail, and you only need to do once to succeed. But I had this conversation with Liz the other day we went to a centre today because I had the morning off and we went out, and I went up to the lady there, big place, and I said, would you be interested if I did such and such and such and such, not vaping wise, but
Right.
and she says, well, yeah, here's a card. And Liz says to me, well, what do you think? And I says, well, I might chuck a couple of £100 a punt at it and do this. And Liz has heard this so many times off me, and she says, well, what happens if it doesn't sell? I says, it doesn't sell. I said, just do something else. And
Fair enough.
That's, I mean, I've made mods, and the mods either don't sell or they do sell, but everything sells at the end of the day.
Oh, eventually,
You've just got to find the market or readdress it or redo it or do something else.
Yeah.
So I would not really say anything to my younger self apart from go to Expo sooner.
Go to Expo sooner. Yeah.
I wouldn't say to do anything different because
so essentially you've got no regrets.
None.
Yeah.
I mean, I've enjoyed it. Do I think it's over? No, I don't, because I still think we're going to have 6 or 7 million vapors in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And when disposables have gone, what is it going to return back to building and stuff like that and buying things?
Well, you're kind of already seeing it. This got released very recently. This little fella got released very recently. Where's the other one? That got released very recently. So some companies, again, it's only a handful, but some of them, they're just going full bore with rebuildables now. They went, fuck it, especially Thunder. The two Thunders, Thunderhead and Thundercloud, because they've split up. You've got Thunderhead that used to work with Night Vapes, Thunderhead split, so you've got Thunderhead and Thundercloud, and both those companies are going full bore with rebuildables. Suicide Mods and Vapors Cloud, they're going full bore with rebuildables, and there's rumours going around that sometime within the next couple of months there's going to be an announcement from Geek Vape that they're going to be relaunching the old Griffin line for a new rebuildable market. So it's beginning, I think.
I think basically the way some of the market's going is the fact that it's sustainable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is.
Because if you've got a tank, you wash the tank, you take the glass out, you take the metal bit, it can go straight in the bin.
Yep.
I mean, regards mods. So people say to me, oh, you make stuff out of resin. Can you recycle it? Can you make it again? And I want to go, right, okay, then recyclability.
Oh, I've got one of those somewhere.
This is a recycled mod.
Is it?
That was a mod. Yeah,
Oh, you
basically
remelted it.
Recrushed it all up and put it into and if I can hear. I was going to say if you rub his head, a genie pops out. So you can. It's all about looking at the product and deciding what you're going to do with it and how you're going to do with it, and then. But you know, so I take stuff to Expo and do stuff and put prices up, put prices down, and whatever I think. But the difference being with any of the mod makers, not just me. I mean, it's like Moxon. He makes stunning mods.
He does.
You've got Scott Bonner, who doesn't really make so much these days, but he makes mods as well. That kind of people. I mean, this expression, which I can't stand, the high end, because it's just like.
There's another one to add to the list, Ian, of things that will rile up Stu when you see him at the fucking expo.
That's just people, you know. I mean, I've got an iPhone. I've got a high-end phone. Come on now. The people that make bespoke stuff and things like that, the trouble is you can use them and they're going to last you. The guarantees that are given are 12 months. It's 2 years in Europe.
Oh yeah, they're going to last. They're definitely going to fucking last. And this is the one thing that you'll see. This is the one thing that you'll see from companies like VapeSmarter, from, well, not so much Turnwood, because again Scott Bonner's not making a lot. But I've got an old Scott Bonner mod up there, and it's still going strong. Still going strong.
I know Fine Mods has quit.
Yep.
He's gone, which is a shame. But then again, you know, he would cut the wood himself and stuff like that. He made some good pieces. But apart from that, and apart from me, there's not a great deal. There's people in Europe that come and go, but there's not a fantastic great deal of people out there.
At least compared to pre-COVID, because God, I can remember going back to 2016, 2017. There was a lot of independent mod makers, not so much in the UK, but over in Europe there was loads of them over there, and they just vanished. A lot of them just vanished.
There's going to be a lot more going. I know a couple of people over in Europe. I know a chap in Germany, he makes stuff and he's good. And know a couple of people, know a chap in Portugal and stuff like that. But regulation.
Yeah. Yep. It's regulation. Yep.
I mean, just to get my Shopify site going, it's the stuff you have to jump through just to get regulated.
Yeah. Especially with payment processors and all that crap. I mean, the vast majority of the payment processors out there don't want to touch vaping. They just don't want to touch it. They don't.
That's going to be the killer of the market.
Yeah. Because
what you'll find is some of the bigger companies will do shell companies. And it will be a part of. Because I saw one or two companies at Expo using SumUp as a payment gateway.
I've heard of them. Yeah, they've been popping up a lot recently. SumUp, yeah.
Yeah, and SumUp aren't passed by Visa and MasterCard to take vaping products because it's a high. Oh, somebody will correct me. It's not like a high danger. It's like a high value item, that kind of thing. So they won't take it on board. So it's kind of like alcohol and stuff like that. Yeah. So you've got that. Which I think the last time I was at Expo, 3D printed mods were just appearing on the scene. No, they've been about for a long time.
A fucking hell of a long time.
Yeah.
Well, there was 3D printed mods popping up around about 2016, 2017. Possibly even 20. I mean, how long were Boxer on the go? They started in 2015, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Anthony that I introduced you to.
Yeah. This fella.
Yeah.
There we go.
There he is.
That fella. Fucking good mod, this one.
He's a lovely guy. And when I was at Expo, he was like a little rabbit in the headlights.
He was very nervous, the poor guy. He was very nervous.
Yeah, Vapor Bunny says we use Viva Wallet the same as me. We used some up when we started, but they closed our account with no warning. Yeah, as soon as they see it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's I mean, the biggest fear that I got with this market in general is the government bans nicotine or regulates it.
Well, I don't think that. Regulation with Labour, I don't think they'd ban it, but regulating it, and to such an extent where it becomes either prohibitively expensive or prohibitively difficult to get your hands on, is practically a ban anyway, if you think about it.
Yeah.
It depends what way they go down.
I mean, I don't know if there's going to be another expo after this one.
I think there will be. And I said this last year. I think what they'll do, they will cut it down to one expo a year. They won't do two anymore.
Yeah.
They won't do two.
I think there might be, because of the fact that the companies, after this bans happen, the companies are going to want some of the market.
Oh yeah, they are. I said this is the only reason, right? And it's no secret now because of some of the disposable companies have actually said it over in LinkedIn. I fucking love LinkedIn because half of these disposable CEOs get drunk and then they just start typing shit in LinkedIn. The reason that you've seen the likes of the Hall of Vape, which has basically closed its doors, and the likes of the UK Vapor Expo get flooded with disposables is one simple reason: the big major stalls that you see down the main strip and then the second tier stalls down the side strips. Normally what happens is Aspire walks up and goes, we'll give you 15,000 for that booth. Yeah. A disposable CEO walks in and goes, we'll give you 25,000 for that booth. The disposable market gets it. That's why, because all the big companies like Aspire, if you remember, if anyone that went to the first expo back after COVID, you would have seen this. Aspire, Geek Vape, Vaporesso, the big names, they were pushed to the side because the disposable merchants got the centre strip. But when they go, Aspire, Geek Vape, Smoor, possibly Vandevape. There's a rumour that Vandevape's going to be appearing at this expo as well. They're all going to rush in. They're all going to rush in and take the big booths again.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's going. Somebody's asked if a Vape Jam. Do you remember
Vape Jam? They shut down years ago, didn't they? Because it turned into Juice Jam. It did. That was their nickname. It turned into Juice Jam.
I mean, yeah, some vape companies still use PayPal. Yeah, there's kind of quite a lot. I mean, you know, we had this conversation, and I said, well, when we had the Saturday show, when I went on there, and said about putting stuff into room 101, and this long, drawn out conversation with Paul about, I think the point was missed. And I was trying to get the point across, and I couldn't really get the point across because I just kind of like, you know, lose the will. But my point of it is, if you want to rubbish a product, if you want to rubbish something, you make it look cheap. And the buzzwords might be good down the pub, but whoever watches it that's in a position of authority, be it a doctor or an MP or an advocate or somebody who's on, like, you know, I've just come back from work. I'm a managing director. I'm on 200,000 a year. Anybody that's got any sort of level authority, that turns around and says, you know, so you vape, what are you? Oh, I do hobbyist. It's hobbyist. I'm a high ender. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know
so
what you
when
mean.
not to call yourself, and Sean, other Sean stands put the point across better than I could. He put the comment in there, and it was fantastic, his comment. And I went, right, hang on, whoa, let's just read that out. And it was like, oh well, I'm like, you know, it's kind of like, if you want to rubbish something that you have passion for, call it a silly name. That was my point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's like you could have nice little blue LED lights all around, or all around. Oh! we spoke about this, haven't we? We've spoke about this.
But it looks cool.
No, it doesn't. It looks stupid.
Look at that. It looks cool.
It's
all the historical mods from back in the day, Stu. Look at them.
Yeah, back in the day. Let's talk about. Oh, do you remember the plague? You never got as ill like you did back in the day. Oh, how about cholera? I lost all my family. Those were the days. It's like, you know, come on now. So, a lot of us high-end taste buds with smock pockets.
You got that right, Mark. Yep.
It is. It is. It's kind of like, I think we've lost our way with
Oh
that.
yeah, we have. We have. That's very fucking true. We have.
It's kind of like people say to me, I can't afford your product. And I say, okay, then I can understand that. And I remember going to a customer's house, and I haven't seen him for years, and he was really, really nice. And I went there, and he wanted a handmade mod, and I said, I'll make you a mod and all the rest of it. And I went there, and he said, I've got the money. And I went, right, I've got your mod here. And it was me and my wife, and we were both there, and it was not too far. It was about, we were on our way somebody, and I said, I'll drop it off. And the family were there, and he brought over like a tin, and he'd been saving up. And it took him 8 months.
Damn. Just
And he
save
saved
up the cash.
He saved up the cash. It was like in pound coins. It was, I mean, granted, there was a couple of washers in there and a button. You know, a paper clip. But he's saved up. And I was like, I'm like, and he said, no, I've saved up this. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not being this class thing and saying he was poor and all the rest of it. He was rich in himself.
Yeah.
And knew an awful lot. But he was cash poor.
Yeah.
And he'd saved up. So when somebody says to me, oh, you know, I can't afford your mods, it's like anything. You can't, you know, afford a phone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like back in our day, you would save up. You know what I mean?
Well, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly because for the people that don't know this, the reason there hasn't been any reviews up is because this fucker was on its way. I'm pointing to the PC that's off screen. This fucker was on its way out, so I had to save up, and I've been saving up for the past 3 months now for a new motherboard, which just got installed yesterday. But yeah, you save up for it.
I say I don't have that problem because
Fuck off with your Mac pish. Fuck off.
I don't have this problem because, you know, it's kind of like, you know.
All I'm going to say is you better hope that Mac doesn't fuck up, because if that Mac fucks up, you need to send the whole fucking thing back. Gotcha.
It's kind of, it's you know, I use, see, people say to me, they say you got a laser engraver and you got a Galvo laser and stuff like that in the workshop. Whoa, what do you use? And I say, I've got 2 Macs in the workshop, and I use Windows 10 on them. And you know why? Because it never has a blue screen of death. And they work perfect. So I use Lightburn, and then I've got iOS whatever on here. And I've got a Mac Mini now, because I've got a Mac Mini with 2 screens. But it's kind of like I never have a problem, and then all the information and everything else, I fire it across. But it depends. It depends. But I found a Windows operating system on a Mac in the world. It's fantastic. It's like the best of both worlds. I've never had them crash. And the one Mac with the Galvo laser, when I finish at night, instead of doing all this like shut down, I just turn it off.
You just, for fuck's sake.
Just turn it off. Can't be asked. Just turn it off. And it never breaks. It doesn't go wrong. And then if the Mac packs up, I just go, right, I can, you know, I don't think I ever have. It's kind of like one's a 28-inch and the other one's a 23, 21, something like that. And if it did pack up, I would just go and get another one off Facebook Marketplace, 50 quid.
Yeah, because there's a lot of them second hand. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of them second hand in the Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, there is.
But it's got to be a stable environment for the laser to work. I had a PC before, and I was like lasering away, and then all of a sudden, I made the mod, finished the mod, and I was kind of like doing a full panel on the side, and it was all beautiful, and it was like it's going all backwards, and then fatal exception, blue screen of death turns up, and because I'm halfway through, I'm like,
It's
well, that's
fucked.
buggered it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up taking the board out of it and putting a hammer through it, and then putting a hammer through the PC as well at the same time, and chucking them, and recycling both. And then it was like, and then I was like, get a Mac, and then put Windows environment on the Mac, and it just really worked really well.
I can see the point
Hammer
there.
to a Mac adds value.
Very true, Jamie. Very true.
I use pencil and paper. They work great. Stu mentions high end, and yet he's and all. Yeah, I am all Apple. No, you know what I mean? I don't call it. I don't call it a high end Apple. I've got a high end Apple. Do you know what I mean?
But I mean, it's not. It's not as if you're running out and buying them brand new. You're getting them from the Facebook Marketplace.
It was a high end Facebook Marketplace.
It's the
next stage up.
section.
They actually answer the questions.
It was the special high-end section.
I mean, so I do that. Every time I want to buy vape gear, I need to spend it on my PC, Ian at CC Coils. Ian at CC Coils, I will big Ian up. If you do want coils, he's the guy to go to. Oh, well, and I've got a squeaker.
He's sponsoring the UK Vape Show. He's got a squeaker? What? But yes, well, that's Rochford Project. That's like, oh, there he is. Alfie. Oh.
He's squeaking. Look. See? There's a high-end reviewer.
What do you mean a high-end reviewer?
He can't see you. Somebody said to me the other day about him, I've had lots of things. See, this is the trouble, with Alfie. He's like 12 and a half now.
He's getting on in age.
Yeah, 13.
He's getting on in age now.
So he's kind of like, you know, it's a strange one. We've had, oh God, I don't know how many pictures I've printed off, because every mod goes out with a picture.
With a picture, yeah.
And I've given away. I mean, we've got I think Liz has got a phone full of pictures of Alfie, and I got loads and loads of pictures of Alfie. So he's getting on. I suppose we're all getting on.
Shut up, Hanky.
Please.
I'm not 50 yet. I'm clinging on to my youth. I'm not 50 yet.
Oh, I've passed that stage. You'll be fine. You know. Don't you worry. We'll be both holding the golden turd in 12 months' time. Don't you worry. I'm still doing this.
Clinging on for dear life while the industry collapses around us.
Well, there's been so many people turning around and saying, like, you know, they're going to quit doing this and quit doing that, and they still don't quit.
Oh no, they don't. I'm not gonna quit. I'm not. The thing that will make me fucking quit is if they make fucking vaping completely illegal, and even then, I'll still do fucking surreptitious reviews off of YouTube and on Rumble where they can't fucking touch me. So yeah.
I think it's probably average price of one of your mods, Stu.
Well, it depends what the mod is.
Okay, they're all over the shop.
Yeah, it depends what the mod is. I mean, you've got like. Let's drag a couple of these down. Hold on. You've got like there is a rather large difference in price between don't drop it back, between these three and the Tube Mech that I've got. I'm not going to fucking stand up because I've dropped one of these, but there's a massive difference in price between them, including the Tube Mech up there.
Just an awful lot of changes. I mean, I do the Tube Mechs. I've got one that's going out. I've got a couple actually going out. I've got another one that's going out as well.
Yep.
Jane Pipkin says, "What's your thoughts on the tax on juice? As is worrying."
Oh yes. Oh, it depends how they do the tax. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you see, the trouble is what they're basing it upon, which is I can't understand, is they're basing it on the old TPD law.
Yep, which is a mess.
So when
to
the
begin with.
TPD came out, we were all supposed to be, well, we were in front of that. But when TPD came out, me and you were, and everybody else was using tanks.
Yep.
And the TPD was based on clearomizers.
Yeah, which by that point in time were already out of date because hardly anyone was fucking using clearomizers. The old Stardust or CE4 and CE5.
So my tank is supposed to be 2 mil. I think it takes 3 or 4, and that's without the bubble.
I mean, this thing takes 5. It's got the bubble on it.
Yeah. So they're going to tax it on basic on a 10 mil bottle.
Yeah.
But the caveat on that, and I say this, keep saying this caveat word. So caveat's I called a mod caveat the other day. The problem with that is I've seen and you've seen pre-filled pods and pre-filled boros starting to come across from China. So can you say a pre-filled boro has got more or less than 2 mil, and can you say for certain what it's got in it?
Not with a bottle. Because bottle tank, depending on the size of the bridge inside, bottle tanks inherently can carry anywhere between 5, in some cases if it's a really thin bottle bridge, from 5 to 8 or 8.5 mil of juice in that tank. So, for a bottle. It depends completely on the size of the bridge.
Though I'm not going to advertise it because this is going live, we have 1 litre of 70/30 3 milligram pre-mixed juice, no flavour,
just the base. Yeah.
That cost me 14 quid.
Oh damn, that's a good deal.
Right, so that cost me £14, and it's got 3 milligrams of nicotine in it. How will they sell that?
They won't. And if they do sell it, it's going to be, well, this will give you an idea. So for the 100ml bottles, the likes of Fluid, the likes of Black Rose Elixirs, the 100ml short fill bottles, the prices of those, if that tax system per 10 millilitre carries forward, you're going to be looking at 35 to 45 quid for a 100ml bottle.
Yeah.
And that's just for a 100ml bottle. Which
so
is fucking scary.
Somebody had this conversation with me the other day, and they were like, oh God, you know, it's all going to go. And I'm going, okay, fine, it's going to go. And I said, so when you go out in the rain, do you go out in the rain in just your t-shirt and your trousers and you don't put your shoes on? And he went, oh, of course not. I said, so if you know something's going to happen, what are you going to do?
You prepare for it.
And I said, and he said, well, what are you going to do? And I went, I joke about it and say, and I says, I put comments on forums and stuff. I says, but reality is now, if it does happen, what do you do? You go to Curry's and you buy yourself in the sale £100 or £80 freezer. You plug it in, you buy your nicotine, you buy your VG,
yep, and
you buy your PG, and you put it in there.
Which is what I'm already doing. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, just buying half a litre, well, not so much, usually not. It's usually 200ml of 72 milligram nicotine and stick it in the freezer. I've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah. So I mean, in my freezer I've got nicotine.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I'll probably buy 10 litres.
And put it in the freezer.
10, 20, put it in the freezer. Yep. Over a space of 12 months.
And I think you're going to be finding a lot of people doing that. A lot of people doing it.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie, other Sean, Jamie Pipkin, surely DIY stuff like from DS would be hard, if not impossible, to tax.
Again, it
surely
depends.
It will separate the hobbyists from the enthusiasts, from the users, etc. Will VG and PG and other application, they surely can't tax it? There is a very, very good question. And the thing is, at the end of the day, no, they dare say they can't tax it, but they can do one particular thing. They can regulate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which with the Labour Party, it would not surprise me if they did. The problem is, though, if they go down the road of regulating PG and VG on its own, they run the risk of butting heads with numerous other industries that's using PG and VG. Yeah. Numerous other industries. The thing that you said of them going after the nicotine, that's a much easier road to go down.
Yeah.
Much easier road.
That's one of my biggest fears. I mean, you know, separate freezer just for Nick in my household. See, Jane, exactly the same. Do we really need nicotine? No, vaping zero nicotine is fine.
No, I need nicotine. I'm direct lunging 6 milligram freebase here. If I don't direct lung fucking 6 milligram and drop down to 3, I run outside and set fire to fucking kittens. You don't want to see me do that.
There's the thing. I've done this in the past. I've inadvertently picked up a bottle that didn't have anything in it and didn't know, and used it, and didn't realise for about a week.
A week?
Yeah, I didn't realise for a week. And then I kind of like, I didn't realise, and then I could feel that I was, you know...
See, I get that, because I've done the same. I get that feeling the same fucking day.
Yeah. But you see, the same thing, I started to drink, because one of my big things is coffee. I started to drink decaffeinated coffee for a while. And the side effects from coffee withdrawal, caffeine withdrawal, I mean...
Oh, yeah.
If you're thinking vaping is bad, coffee...
It's worse with it's much worse with caffeine withdrawal. Much fucking worse. Fucking headaches and all sorts of shit with caffeine withdrawal. It's worse.
I get through half a kilo of beans a month. I used to get through a kilo.
Okay, I thought I was bad. Jesus, how much fucking coffee are you drinking?
I do drink a lot of coffee. Something like that. Something like that.
That's a lot of fucking coffee beans.
I remember back in the day when I smoked, years and years ago, back in the day, you would go into a restaurant and you would have an ashtray there and you'd be like... And that was normalised. That was normalised.
It was.
But, see, Vapor Bunny's the same. But it's... Nicotine is a cell protector. In the dosage, detail is actually good for
your mito. Because there was something in the science journals about nicotine helping people with Alzheimer's as well. They're looking into that one.
They were looking into Parkinson's. There was a big thing. But you see, they were looking into Parkinson's and all the rest of it. But you see, it's like anything. I mean, blood thinner, warfarin.
Yep.
It's like a name association. So with snus, it was oral tobacco.
Yeah.
So they never called it snus. They called it oral tobacco. We don't call it vaping, or they didn't call it vaping. They called it
electronic cigarettes. Yeah. It's that word association. Yep.
So you've always got that association, that bad word association with something.
Yep.
It's one of those things, but nicotine and using nicotine in various things, nicotine is really, I mean, there was a point where they used it as a pesticide.
Oh yeah, they were.
But they can't use it now because it's just like real proper. I mean, you know, it's not, it kills a pest, but it'll kill everything else.
Yeah, no, it's not just that as well, but the raw nicotine supply has been cut back because China, a lot of the raw nicotine, and I found this out from when I visited Chemnavatic about 3 or 4 years ago. In fact, they mentioned it in the video. A lot of the raw nicotine, like the actual unprocessed nicotine, it comes from China. So when you order your 100 ml bottle, let's say 100 ml amber bottle of 72 milligram, 9 times out of 10, if you're ordering nicotine in the UK, it's probably Chemnovatic that processed it, but they get the raw nicotine from China. And over the past 4 years, China has scaled back the raw nicotine processing, which is raising up the price. And that's one of the major reasons. In fact, they started doing it about a decade ago, come to think of it. And that's one of the reasons that they scaled back, because there was a time for about 25 years when raw nicotine was dirt fucking cheap. And that's why it was used as a pesticide. Because China was basically flooding the market.
So, at least for a coffee before 10 a.m. Mike, nicotine for people with Parkinson's is pointless. I mean, come on, ain't you ever seen someone with Parkinson's trying to eat peas? Mike, blooming now. The thing, I've heard it being used for Alzheimer's. The trouble is, you with anything, you've still got that connection.
You've got the connection, yeah.
But nicotine in itself is one of the most studied chemicals that there's been.
As?
I
think it might have been Clive that said this, or it might have been Colin Mendelsohn, another one of the big advocates over in the US. If you got nicotine and you presented it in a hot, milky, sweet liquid in a mug, nobody would bat a fucking eyelid. If you think about it, nobody would bat an eyelid. But because nicotine has been linked to tobacco for so fucking long, doesn't matter what you do or what you say about nicotine itself, it's as toxic as caffeine in high doses. It's got the same effect as caffeine, but caffeine's got the, we love coffee, we love tea, and nicotine's boo. But they're both the same. They're from the same family.
I mean, it's a sack. I mean, when I was talking to somebody in Canada the other day, the Canadian government are stamping down and clamping down on vaping.
Yep. That's another 180.
But the government, in the same hand, are making it so that you can buy a pre-rolled marijuana cigarette and smoke it.
Yeah, because they're legalising it.
And when I was watching somebody on the YouTube channel, I think it's called Reg Watch, if I remember. I've got it on here somewhere. And it's like an American thing. And they were talking about this. And they were saying, you're still burning something that's going to go into your lungs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, somebody asked me the other day, will THC and CBD take over from nicotine?
Doubt it.
If we regulated marijuana like they have in America and Germany, but Germany, the one party wants to get rid of it.
Yep.
And the other party wants to keep it. And one party is light on vaping, and the other party is heavy.
Yeah.
On vaping. So, and then you got Amsterdam, and you know most Canada and some of the states over in America. If the UK went down that way, and if we look at this realistically, there is a huge market for it in this country.
God, there is. There has been for a long time now. Long time.
But, I mean, what would happen then is, are we going to go down the same route as history? Is it going to be skull bandits, vaping, and then in 20 years' time...
Cannabis.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Cannabis shops.
Probably. That's the fucking thing, though. You can never fucking tell. You can never tell. Even if the current, which I don't think will happen, the current Labour Party gives a green light on the use of cannabis for the general public. What happens if Labour lose the next election and the Tory party get in? They've always been anti-cannabis from a public standpoint. Is it a case of, there we go, it's banned again? That's the problem.
I think basically Matt Hardy's just appeared up. I haven't seen Matt in ages. Matt hates you. Different channel for me. Subscribe again just to say hi. Wow. Too many bubbles. Oh God, John the Vaping Joker. If I think Conservatives get back in? Nah, I'd be surprised.
Well, it's either going to be them or Reform, because I can't see Labour winning the next election.
No.
Unless they kick out Keir Starmer. Then they've got a chance. Then they might have a chance.
You've got 15-20% of the population in the northern part of the country that's in fuel poverty.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same up here.
Yeah.
The exact same up here. Complete fuel fucking poverty. In fact, one of the neighbours round the corner from me, she died in her house of hypothermia. She couldn't get the winter fuel payments, and it's been happening a lot, an awful lot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, you know, if which will get in, but the trouble is, once somebody's already started something, the other party will complete it.
Well, you're seeing that with the whole fucking tobacco white paper, because that was Sunak's originally. And then Labour just scribbled Labour Party and pink crayon at the top and took it and ran it with. Although they did change the tax system, but everything else is basically the same. Basically the fucking same.
But you've got to ask yourself this one question. Why?
Because when legislation is already on the cards in the UK parliamentary system, so much money is already thrown at it by that point. If it's scrapped or shelved, number one, the interested parties that are backing that paper up would raise a fucking storm. And number two, let's be honest here, certain party parliamentarians have already invested money in that cause.
So, in saying that then, if you have a ban on disposables, who would be the winners?
In the short term, from a political standpoint, in the short term, it would be the county councillors who would raise their hand up and go, "Yay, we got rid of these bad disposables," which will get more votes for them. In the short term, it will be the likes of VPZ and to some extent the smaller independent vape shops like Bunny and Mark in there, with all these probably 1.2 to 2 million, roughly speaking, disposable users that are going to be lost, clueless, and they won't have a fucking clue what's happening. So they'll instantly go into those vape shops. In the longer term, especially if they end up instituting the vape licensing system, it will be the current party in power.
Okay. So, as an example, as a business model for myself, if I have competition from somebody else, in the world of business, you want those orders or whatever. So you've got a double-edged sword here. Without competition, there is no growth, there is no sales.
Yep.
But with too much competition, you're chasing for the smaller market.
Yep.
So you need to get rid of your competition. So you could either outperform them with the same product, which doesn't happen. You could undercut them, which does happen. Or if you've got the power and you've got a group, a consortium of companies, would it be right in saying, or would it be a tin hat conspiracy, that you would change the regulation in your favour?
Oh yeah, you would change it in your favour. You would.
So saying that, look at the situation that's going on in Parliament and who's going to be the winners and who's going to be the losers.
The winners will be that's actually a good question. From a publicity standpoint and possibly from a business standpoint, going down that particular road, especially the slight fracturing that happened with UK VIA, there's one particular company that did not want this disposable ban to go through, but a lot of other companies did. From a business standpoint, when disposables are kicked out, it means that a lot of the large conglomerates that are part of UK VIA will inevitably make a lot more money because they don't have a hand in the actual disposable business. Take a look at VPZ, for instance. They, technically speaking, don't make their own disposables. They sell them with a markup, but they're not making enough of a markup to keep spreading the VPZ shops out. Because if you look at VPZ's growth, it practically stalled for a good 2 or 3 years, for a good year and a half when the disposable flood first happened, because VPZ, like a lot of other shops, make their money from the liquids.
That's the thing, see. I mean, I looked at there was a point that I looked at. Rishi Sunak's wife had shares in a vape company. There was an article and I couldn't trace it. I saw it flash up and I saw it, but I couldn't find out
Which one it was.
and yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the market will contract.
Oh,
I
well.
think people need to be prepared. Me personally, I'm not going to have a mod. I can make a mod just by picking a piece of wood up out the garden. It doesn't really make any difference to me. I can make a mod no matter what. Once you've got the basic principles, you can make a mod. I think that area for certain people may increase, which would be good. But I think smoking rates will increase.
Oh, yeah,
This
they
black
will.
market, the black market taking over and us going to Australia.
And there is some scare stories coming out from Australia. Fucking gangs getting involved, torching fucking shops. What?
Would it happen in this country?
In the big cities, possibly. In the big cities, possibly. Especially some of the racketeering gangs that have basically got hold of large sections of Birmingham and large sections of London. If the black market does explode, it's going to be based in Manchester, Birmingham, and London. Those three places.
I mean, they're saying, okay, then the legalness of a disposable. Somebody says to me the other day, "Oh, those things are massive. They're illegal because they're 600 puffs." And I went, right, okay then. And they're not 2 mil, are they? They're like, 20 mil. And I went, yeah, I've got a 3 mil, 4 mil tank, and I've got 10,000 puffs on that.
Talk about illegal tanks. What about this fucker?
That's it.
The steam cranes.
You see, it's illegal because a piece of paper tells you that it's illegal.
Yeah.
So you walk around with a 100 ml bottle and you fill up your all day long.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, the interesting thing about the disposable ban, it's illegal to sell them. It's not illegal to import them.
So I found that fascinating.
I found it fascinating as well.
But then again, if you look at politics in the UK with arms,
same thing. Yeah, it's the same fucking thing. It's not.
We ship
illegal.
Arms all over the world.
Oh yeah, it's not illegal to sell them. It's illegal to sell them in the UK, but it's not illegal to import them or export them.
Yeah. I mean, if with people were saying to do stuff, and people here, we've got all these people here and stuff. I mean, do I think that this industry will be here this time next year?
Oh yeah.
I think it will.
It will have changed though. There's no getting around it.
Yeah.
It will have changed.
We'll be all kicking off about the pods.
Yeah.
You'll be doing videos and going, I've stopped doing pods now because I've had 500 million people saying they got this latest pod and there is no difference.
Basically what's going to happen is from June the 1st, the reset button's going to happen. If you remember this channel, and a lot of people will remember this channel from about 2016 when the dual pod first hit. 5 months after that, you had the UL Caliburn. You had fucking 4 different pods from Smock the same fucking week. You had Vaporesso with 5 different pods the same fucking week. You're going to be seeing that again after June the 1st. They're going to be flooding the market. Literally flooding the market. I'm seeing the emails coming in now of what's going to be coming up. A lot of the companies are looking at the UK and thinking, well, the UK is going to go down this road. You've got Germany thinking about or discussing banning disposables. Depends what party wins the next election. You've got France, Italy and Spain doing the same thing. And all it takes is a handful of the major...
France has banned them.
Oh, it's already banned?
January.
Oh, fuck, I didn't think it was going to be that
France
soon.
has banned disposables in Jan, and Belgium has also banned them.
So it just takes a handful of companies to do it, and then it gets written into the framework of the TPD. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So you've got all these companies like Vaporesso, Smock, fucking Geek Vape. Not so much Aspire, they didn't dabble in the disposables that much, but they're sitting there rubbing their fucking hands saying, okay, pods are back on the market. And they are. They're back on the market.
The biggest danger you've got with pods more than anything else is how long will they last for?
They go in cycles.
Hang on. So you buy a pod on a Monday,
Yep.
and you use it. How long will that pod last? Is it going to last you a month, 2 months, 3 months? Rechargeable pod. How long?
Depends who makes it. Depends who makes it.
Come on, you've got 500 pods sitting underneath your desk.
Yeah, I do. Okay, the average lifespan of a pod, we're not talking about the pod itself, we're talking about the battery and how many cycles that battery can actually handle. The average life cycle from an average pod, 2 months, 2.5 months. And then you start. I'm not talking about these guys, by the way, because SX Mini, they've actually put good batteries in their fucking pods, but I'm talking about pods that are on sale at retail at a discounted price from the offset. They're at a discounted price, because normally if you look at something like the current Caliburn, the current Oxford pod, and the current Vaporesso pod, they get all their batteries from the 2 major manufacturers in China, but all the other pods surrounding the big names, they get it on the cheap, usually from Malaysia, usually from India, and you'll be lucky if you get through 2.5 months of charge cycles before you start to see that battery dying.
There's your weak spot.
The batteries.
There's the elephant in the room.
The batteries. Yep.
They'll ban disposables. They're going to wait and wait and wait.
For the
and the next thing they'll do, the environmentalists will turn around and say, "Oh, we got rid of the disposables, but these new pods, they only last a couple of months. They don't even last a 12-month warranty. They only last a couple of months, and they're still going into landfill."
And you've got a damn good point there, which I never fucking thought of.
That's, 300 cycles if you're lucky, depending on how hard a vapor you are. Easily 2 to 8 month life, then in the bin.
Hands up if Stu's beginning to scare you, folks.
Forewarned is forearmed.
True.
I've got my batteries.
See me up.
3 years old. When was this one? Has it got a date on it? Molly cell.
Oh yeah, the molly cells last for a long time. I've just had to replace mine. I had that the first molly cells I had lasted for about what? 3.5, 4 years almost.
This
Good
is
batteries,
2018.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about time you replace those, Stu. They're getting a bit old.
Look, I've got a pink wrap on this one. So, but I mean, a good battery charger. I refresh it, drain it every so often.
That's what I do. I've got the Dragon charger there, and I've got the this fucking thing, the Gear Falcon for main charging here, but I've got the Dragon for a full cycle charge, full discharge, full charge.
Merrick says Molly cells are only 400-ish cycles too, so after a year they're dropping to 85-90%.
That's still enough.
They're dropping. That's pretty good.
That's still enough. 85 to 90 is still a good number.
Yeah.
The only time you'll start to notice that 85 to 90% drop is if you're using them in a mech. That's when you'll notice it. But if you're using it in a regulated, you won't notice that 85-90%. You won't. You simply won't.
Yeah. I mean, the trouble is though. The thing is with mechs, something that mechs that I make, the mechs that a couple of other people make, Purge, and some of the other mechs on the market. Jane's got some stunning mechs.
Yep.
Mechs from Oscar that he makes. The same thing. Infinity Mods do like Oscar's work. He's a lovely guy. Keep telling him he's from Brazil. or Mexico. I can never remember.
It's Mexico.
Oscar's lovely, and he's him and his wife and his mom was at Expo. They're lovely, lovely people. Once you've got one, if you don't do something stupid with it,
You've got it for life.
yeah,
Because there's no electronics in it. And unless you're really fucking stupid, you won't break it.
yeah, and you can you put a battery and you put a tank on it. Away you go.
Yep. Which is exactly why there's Hayes' 502. I'm using a mech right now, a mech Squonker. It's the fucking it's the top side.
Yeah.
Had this thing for fucking years. Years. Ever since it first came out. Hasn't failed me once because there's no electronics in it. That's why.
I mean, this is what I said earlier on. You don't go out in the rain without your raincoat on. So prepare yourselves for whatever's going to happen.
That's what it comes down to.
I do feel, and I see it a lot on groups and see people buying disposables and they're like spending this money. And I talked to people at the show and stuff like that. And that was those stupid suitcases with nothing in them.
Yep.
They had nothing in. There was nothing in those suitcases.
Nothing fucking in them.
Those
dragging them. You seen everyone dragging these fuckers about, and I went, "What's inside that?" And it's like a couple of fucking leaflets. What the fuck? You got to hand it to them. The market, from a marketing perspective, it was a good idea because it was eye-catching.
But in saying that, though, I also had regular customers that I saw that were talking to me going, I'm going to place an order and all the rest of it with you. Yeah, I'm going, yeah, sure. And then me and Liz went round the show and they're standing there in the queue waiting for disposables to be handed to them.
Oh, Jesus
and I'm like,
Christ.
I suppose it's just the way.
So last question before we wrap it up, because we've been on for more than 2 hours now. Do you think the May Expo is going to be an utter bloodbath? Considering what happens in less than a month after it.
I think they're going to have to dump a lot of stock. And I think a lot of people are going to go in there to get in something. Mm-hmm. People slag it off, and an experience, it is what it is. You've got to remember one concise thing. They are only selling what the consumer wants.
Exactly, because the expo is a mirror of the industry it's in. It's not a trend setter. It's like a car show. It's a mirror of the industry it's in.
So whatever you see at expo is what people want in the industry. So it's not so much that we can only blame ourselves and look upon this and see where we've gone wrong. But somebody is already blamed us, and this is why we're getting all the regulations.
Oh yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but it's still, it's still gonna keep your mixing suppliers close to you, keep your mod makers close to you.
Exactly, and keep a very, very, very close eye on any. In fact, it's going to be one. I think it's going to be one, and from what I've heard, the all-party parliamentary group to do with tobacco-free fucking UK and all that pish. I think it's going to be in. I've been hearing rumours end of April. Because there's the big Easter break that happens for Westminster. Then they're on for a month, and it's the summer break. I've been hearing it's the end of April, but keep a very close eye on what the all-party parliamentary group are saying, because Labour have got the majority, a fucking huge majority, which means that majority is transplanted into the APPG as well. So whatever Labour says at the all-party parliamentary group, it's going to become law. Yeah. It's going to become law. It doesn't fucking matter. So,
it's going to go straight into the House of Lords.
Yeah, straight into the House of Lords. Which is fucking scary. Anyway, for the people that don't know, and what I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, because there's a way around it so YouTube doesn't fucking strike me again. You put that in and you make the link non-clickable. So the people that don't
look at
know,
that.
Look at that. It's non-clickable, so YouTube can't fucking strike me for it. So, VapeSmarter.org, if you haven't been there, I know some of the people in chat and listening who listen to this on the replay might not have heard of Stu. He makes fucking good mods, and he's a fucking top bloke. Just don't piss him off, especially at the expo.
And you were brought one as well.
I did.
But that's funny. Yeah, funny Scottish money.
It is still
I've still
legal
got that
tender.
somewhere.
It is still
I've still
legal
got-
tender.
I shall see you. Are you coming down in May?
I shall be there in May. I'll be there for the full 3 days as normal.
I look forward to taking the piss.
And I look forward to seeing phrases like back in the day,
Back in the day.
the old days.
Oh, God. No worries. All right,
Exactly.
then.
Jane
Well, thank
said
you for
it best.
everybody partaking.
Jane said it best. Stu has ace mods. I spend the profits.
Jane is lovely. Jane is fantastic. She is,
She's awesome. She's
one
awesome.
of the she is one of the bastions of the industry. Jane is. She's been here since day one.
Since
She's
the
fantastic.
early days. Yeah, since the
lot of time
early
for
fucking
Jane.
days.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Brilliant.
that's it. That is it from us, folks. There's Vape Smarter's URL there. You need to copy and paste it, obviously. And if you're heading down to the May Expo in May, you'll be able to see Stu face to face.
Yep. No
Just,
worries.
just don't say any trigger phrases. You know what the trigger phrases are now, because he'll already be in a pissed off mood. You don't want to make him actually angry.
I'm already building up to it.
He's already building up the anger for that. Anyway, that's it from us, folks. See you next week. Bye.
I shall see you next time.